It's not automation that is the issue. It's not technology that is the issue. It is how profit is extracted and distributed. It is capitalism that is the issue. All right. Speaking of socialism and what isn't socialism or what is socialism, I have for many, many years rang the alarm bells about right-wing populist messaging. Talked about how if the Democratic Party continues to behave as a bottleneck towards any sort of leftist economic populism, any sort of leftist momentum, the right will understandably utilize economic populism, like left-wing economic populist rhetoric, to make themselves seem more appealing. Ads, why ads? I always run a 1-minute ad break in the middle of the hour. Welcome to the Hassan Abbey broadcast. There is a secret 1 minute middle of the hour ad break. Hey man, I know we're past that point of the broadcast, but I want to say thanks. You helped me get back into the gym and my diet cleaned up. I'm down like 10 pounds in 2 months or so, lifting big and even doing cardio. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, the ad break is over already, so it is what it is. But here, a lot of people don't even get it. No, the ad break is over. Okay, so as I was stating, they also appropriate anti-war sentiment. Exactly. The right will use propaganda because propaganda is all the right has. Now, the Democratic Party also is not really interested in, defending the left or anything like that, or defending workers or anything like that. Okay. But Tucker Carlson will nefariously utilize pro-labor sentiment and get a bunch of suckers on the left to go, oh man, he's really spitting. This is very dangerous. If Tucker Carlson can get pro-worker sentiment to the right by saying this sort of stuff, then I'm all for it. But I do not want dummies that are baby leftists to turn around and act like this is actually fire. Because it's not, and I will describe to you why it's not. And not because Tucker is disingenuous here, which I will prove. He is a libertarian. But because he's also stupid with his assessment of the situation and his advocacy. So let's take a look.
Wake up one morning and you find yourself in a society where 23-year-olds with 4-year college degrees and like initiative who aren't smoking weed every day, if they can't make enough to buy a car, much less a home, much less get married, much less have children, then why should you be surprised when half of them say they prefer socialism?
Well,
you should not be surprised.
I agree to a certain extent. I think that the question is when the pedal hits the metal. Like you talk in the book about technology and how it's shifting and taking away jobs from folks. Yes. And you make specific reference to truck driving and the fact that there are going to be these automated cars on the roads. So would you, Tucker Carlson, be in favor of restrictions on the ability of trucking companies to use this sort of technology specifically to, sort of artificially maintain the number of jobs that are available in the trucking industry?
Are you joking? In a second. In a second. In other words, if I were president, what I say to DOT, to Department of Transportation, we're not letting driverless trucks on the road, period. Why? Really simple. Driving for a living is the single most common job for high school educated men in this country, in all 50 states. By the way, that's the same group whose wages have gone down by 11% over the past 30 years. The social cost of eliminating their jobs in a 10-year span, 5-year span, 30-year span is so high that it's not sustainable. So the greater good is protecting your citizens from, look, capitalism is the best economic system I can think of. I think that anyone's ever thought of.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. I wanted to let it ride for you guys to see everything. I'm going to finish it off and then I'm going to address it point by point.
But that doesn't mean that it's a religion and everything about it is good.
No, but
there's no Nicene Creed of capitalism that I have to buy into. What I care about is living in a country where, decent people can live happy lives, actually. And so, no, I would say immediately, no, are you joking? And I maybe would make up some pretext for public consumption, like, oh, they're dangerous. The technology is not quite finessed. No. But the truth would be, I don't want to put 10 million men out of work because you're going to have 10 million dead families, and the cascading effect from that will wreck your country.
Interesting. So what is Tucker Carlson doing here? The reason why when you hear what he says here, the reason why you say, oh man, he's really spitting, is because he's a very good propagandist. I'm not going to say that it's because you're silly and because you don't understand socialism or because you don't understand Marxism or anything like that. It's because Tucker's a very good propagandist. That much we all admit. Now, number one, is the Swanson frozen food dynasty recipient who lived in the lap of luxury and a beneficiary of tremendous amounts of intergenerational wealth and prosperity that currently works for the multi-billion-dollar reactionary propaganda arm of the reactionary Republican Party genuine when he says, if I was in charge of things, I would literally get the government to stop automation. Automation that would, in a capitalist sense, absolutely improve the efficiency, reduce the bottom line, and improve profit margins subsequently of the trucking industry, right? Does Tucker Carlson, who is a libertarian, truly believe that? Fuck no. If you think that he is just actually genuine about that, well, I got a bridge to sell you. I got some NFTs to sell you, okay? Because Tucker Carlson's entire point, and the reason why he is like allowed to have a $100 million contract or whatever at Fox News, his entire purpose of existence is because he very effectively brings you in with like some pro-labor sentiment, right? While simultaneously shifting your attention away from that, away from actual results, away from actually targeting capital, to other things like immigrants, the dangers of minorities, the dangers of diversity, the dangers of, like, do not talk about these actual villains in society. The real villains are, you know, drag queens doing drag, or trans people, or the fucking teacher in Canada with the fake titties, the humongous knockers that turns out wasn't trans like we correctly fucking called and was just like a psychopath, right? Or sexy M&Ms. Those are all distractions. Tucker Carlson is very good at crafting a narrative that hyper-focuses on idiotic distractions, because all of those divisive distractions move you away from class consciousness and coalition building. It moves the crosshairs away from those at the tippy top, those who are paying his salary. Okay? I would even go so far as to say Tucker Carlson himself is at the tippy top, and he benefits from this system tremendously. You could make the similar argument against myself as well, but the main difference is, one, I am not funded by billionaires. I'm funded by you in the chat. I have editorial independence in that regard that Tucker Carlson does not. And more importantly, I'm very open about my biases and tell you exactly what I believe all the fucking time. So that's number one. So let me explain why this attitude is idiotic. Because his solution, Tucker Carlson looks at automation and goes, we have to stop that, right? But the problem isn't automation. The problem isn't technology. As I tweeted about this earlier this morning, the problem is corporations using technological achievements to increase profit margins for shareholders. Okay? Technology isn't bad. The mobile phone is not bad, right? The mobile phone and a steady access to the internet has been tremendous in so many meaningful ways. But with the advent of new tech, corporations utilize that new tech to make one guy do the job of 8. Instead of reducing one guy's workload, keeping the same group of individuals hired, and even increasing their pay because their productivity is increased, they fire 8 guys and they make one guy do the job of 8, keeping his hours the same, making him get paid less or maybe the same amount, okay? But their output is now 8x as a consequence of technological achievements. It's not automation that is the issue. It's not technology that is the issue. It is how profit is extracted and distributed. It is capitalism that is the issue. Automation always lightens the workload, but it's impossible for all of us to imagine a world where drivers, truck drivers, continue being employed and work shorter hours and make more money as a consequence of automation. That's it. That's the issue. It is outside of our scope of understanding the world. We can't even look at this and go, no, actually, why are we doing this? Like, why are we saying, let's stop automation? Instead, keep the same hours, reduce their hours, because automation reduces their workload, but their output is going to be higher. And the secondary part that I find even funny about his dishonest rant is that even in his own dishonest rant, where he creates a hypothetical where the government is interfering in profit-seeking behavior of truck corporations, like these mega corporations that are handling logistics, right? That interference is stopping automation and not stopping the company from reducing their workforce after they get this new tech. Why? Why wouldn't you just literally say, if you're in the business of, government interference in businesses, right? If you believe that, which Tucker Carlson claims he does, right? I mean, that's a crazy thing that the Department of Transportation is just going to say, no, you can't use automation. You can't use self-driving cars. If you are in the business of doing that, that means you're in the business of anti-capitalism. That means you are in the business of utilizing the state to reduce profit margins. You are in the business of state interference in commerce, which I am in that business. I love that. I'm a fan of that business. But if you believe that the government should interfere in business, like I do, okay, and regulate, why the fuck wouldn't you just also want the workers to work less hours as a consequence of automation? That's it. As leftists, it's not about UBI. As leftists, it's not about being anti-tech. We should never be anti-tech. We should be pro-technology. We should be pro-technological achievements. We should be pro-artificial intelligence. But these are tools that are supposed to lighten the burden of the proletariat. But unfortunately, under a capitalist organization of the economy, these tools are seen as a way to substitute wage laborers. It's seen as a way to increase the burden of the same laborer. Because now you can get away with working with one guy instead of 8. One guy can now do the task of 8. So if you want all that bulk, if you want these guys to be involved in this shitty make work, situation, why not lighten their load? That's it. That is absolutely it. And any Marxist worth their salt should be able to see through this ruse here. Okay? That's it. Anyone who understands anything about Marxism, anyone who understands anything about socialism should be able to look through that and go, hold on, there is a better way out there. Okay? This is a great example, by the way. I've developed some automation at my job that in theory has offloaded some of our department's work, but our department keeps it somewhat under wraps from upper management because it had become the new standard. Remember, when I talked about ChatGPT, when I talked about AI replacing workers, what did I say? I told you AI right now could be a very helpful tool for you at your job, especially if you're doing copywriting or whatever, right? As long as your bosses are not aware of it. Because in the short period when new tech innovation happens, you can use it to lighten your workload. It can be a pro-worker tool. But the moment that your bosses are aware of it, they will use it to fucking swap you with that thing. Even if it hurts the consumers at the end of the day. Even if the product is worse at the end of the day. You can use the AI to lighten your workload as long as your bosses are not aware of it. Once your bosses are aware of it, capitalism kicks in. Now, well, you have this tool. We're going to take it for granted. Why don't you just fucking work the tool and we can fire 5 other people and now you're in charge of all of their workload because now you have a very helpful tool here. That's efficiency. That's called eliminating redundancies. It's at the heart of capitalism. There are entire cottage industries dedicated and designed exclusively with the purpose of implementing these sorts of tools that literally reduce the workforce. And when you reduce the workforce, even though it harms the economy overall, even though it kills families, like Tucker Carlson correctly pointed out, the bottom line is the bottom line is better for the companies, and the stock price goes up. That's it. That's how this works. Which is precisely why I say, not technology that is your enemy. It is capital owners, capitalism that is your enemy. Because corporations only care about their shareholders. They only care about the stock price going up. They only care about quarterly earnings. They only care about profit margins increasing. We all know profit rate has a tendency to decline. This is at the heart of Marxism. Or maybe I'm completely wrong, and everything about Marxism that I know, it's fraudulent because I do not have the knowledge of systems and how we should be building a system. I don't know. You decide. No, man, don't worry. People are losing jobs and dying. Corporate capital is just being reduced. Yep. Okay. What is the argument against UBI and AI future? I haven't thought much about it. I do not have an issue with UBI, but UBI is oftentimes advocated by those like Milton Friedman because they want to eviscerate the welfare structure. They want to eviscerate any kind of social spending and switch it to UBI, universal basic income. If UBI is weaponized against pre-existing social programs that are already underfunded, I'm against it. If UBI comes on top of it, I'm for it. It can never be a replacement for the already crippled institutions. That's it. Okay, but to play devil's advocate, or not even fully that, would it be wrong of me to be against technological achievements in some cases because we already exist in a capitalist system and not a socialist one? It's bullshit, but I have to play what game I'm playing, even if I hate this stupid contradiction? No. That's it. It's not okay for you to be against technological achievements. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you other than that. Your own personal motivation against technology or your own personal opinions against technology is not going to stop capital owners from utilizing technology regardless. What I'm trying to do here is simply explain something that is happening currently to you. Okay? Just like when we talk about just like when we talk about Ukraine, right? Like it doesn't matter if I say that Ukraine is getting too much money or not enough, right? What matters is the bottom line of the military-industrial complex. They are going to decide how much money goes into Ukraine. Not you, not me, not Joe Biden, not the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party. Okay? You can sit here and say, man, I really don't want that. I wish we could fund healthcare or something. Yeah, wrong. Not going to happen. No matter what you say. Technological advancements are inevitable and don't have to be used against workers. They just are because that's how capitalism works. That's not a tech problem. That's a capitalism problem. Yes, exactly. I am not against the invention of cars, because it's going to put fucking horses out of work or whatever, Cars have been good overall. Well, not cars, but fuck cars, but, advancements in transportation is good overall. Have you seen XQ's new video on his Clips channel where he talks about your editor and kind of fumbles the bag? No, and I don't care. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. All of this is just a pipe dream without a full-blown revolution. AI and tech will be weaponized against workers in a capitalist society no matter what. Yes. But you can't stand against technological achievements anyway if it's something to be weaponized against the working class. I'm simply here telling you what I want, okay, and telling you how it is. Does that make sense?